This is me, Clara, and this is my animation video in addition to my paper to explain why ghost criminology is important to understanding and contributing to cultural criminology. Two characters will help us, Bernie the ghost and Bernie. Bernie the ghost will appear whenever we discuss ghost criminology, and then Bernie will appear when we discuss cultural criminology. And then both characters will appear when discussing the connection between the two. Cultural criminology can be defined in few words as understanding crime through culture. To further explain cultural criminology, it is connected to the emotions, interpretations, and perception of crime by society in relation to culture. This means cultural criminology is analyzed through understanding how people view crime due to the culture that we see in our society. Some ways this can be done will be mentioned further on using movies. It can also be done with text through textual analysis, images, and other forms as well. An important factor to remember is that cultural criminology is different from traditional criminology. It does not focus on the cause of crime or use statistics. It is mostly focused on how society views crime through culture. Ghost criminology is likely to be assumed that it relates to ghosts or other supernatural entities, but it is not. Ghost criminology can be defined as a metaphor for cultural criminology that focuses on certain behaviors, concepts, or emotions. Though it sounds like it's just cultural criminology explained through a ghost, it's not. This is because ghost criminology has its focus on certain parts of culture that affect people's view of crime. Ghost criminology also uses terms that relate to the idea of ghosts, such as haunting and cultural haunting. These will be the next two terms that are discussed. Hauntology will be the first term to be defined. It can be defined as actions or decisions and events from the past having an effect on the present and the future. These decisions or events are not able to be seen but can still impact someone's view of crime or their feelings surrounding a certain cultural aspect in relation to crime. Hauntology will be explained using two movies as examples. Both these movies are likely to have been seen by people in society. The first one is Hamlet. From my experience, I watched it in my English class. And the second one is A Christmas Carol, which many people have seen, even the play or the movie. So, to discuss Hamlet, this was explained in an article by Fiddler, when Hamlet's father returned as a ghost to haunt him for something he did in the past. A Christmas Carol is a movie that involves a man named Scrooge who gets a visit from the ghosts of his past, present, and future, to show him that his past decisions are having an impact on his present and will likely have one on his future. The next point of hauntology will be a connection to how it can be found in spaces. Though this is a little bit different than what was defined, it is still important in hauntology. For example, prison. If someone walks by a prison or visits someone, it is likely they might feel a certain way due to how prisons function and the view of prison and the inmates. This relates more to the factor of someone feeling haunted versus something that someone's done in the past. This also shows how the culture within prisons has an effect on our view of crime. Before moving on to the next term of cultural haunting, just a quick statement on the movies that are used as examples. Movies are an aspect of visual criminology, which is a subcategory of cultural criminology which involves using images or videos and more to analyze how members of society view crime. I also want to state how hauntology is one of my favorite terms that I've learned because, as Fiddler stated, it is an everyday phenomenon, and it can be understood by almost anyone that it is explained to, even if it's not a direct correlation to crime and culture, but just life in general. Hauntology can be connected to cultural chronology because it is focused on the emotion, interpretations, and concepts that people have in relation to their past decisions or potentially certain spaces that revolve around culture. As emotions and perception of crime are important to cultural crim, this term helps put emphasis on them by referring to crime and culture within society. This is just one example of why ghost criminology is good at explaining cultural criminology. This brings us to our next term to be discussed, which is cultural haunting. The term clearly has the word cultural and haunting, therefore it can be assumed that there is a connection between both ghosts and cultural criminology. The word cultural obviously referring to cultural criminology, and the word haunting referring to ghost criminology. This term can be defined as events of culture that have an impact on society and members of society, though these events are likely to have happened in the past. Things you would learn in history, such as colonization or the Holocaust. This term can be connected specifically to cultural criminology because it focuses on aspects of culture and crime and how it can impact the emotion and perception of society on crime from events that occurred in the past. These events can have an impact on almost everyone in society. It's not specific to a certain person. The final concept to be discussed is a pumpkin spice latte. Okay, not a real pumpkin spice latte. To explain better, I mean simulation theory, using a model represented by a pumpkin spice latte to explain the steps. This theory can be defined quite easily in general terms, but using a pumpkin spice latte adds a little fun. It also connects cultural criminology with ghost criminology in the sense that ghosts, pumpkins, and pumpkin spice lattes all occur in the fall around Halloween. Though it's not a connection connecting the two chronological facts, it connects them in a creative way. Now, the 4 steps to explain the theory. The first step is that an image is of something real. So for example, the image is a pumpkin. A pumpkin is something that is real. The second step is that an image of a pumpkin is like a bad version of what is real. So maybe the pumpkin is not really the actual image. The third step is what was perceived as real is just a lie. The image hides that it is not real. The last step is that there is no connection to the image being real. The image is not even a pumpkin. So as the third step explains that the image is not real. There's a mask hiding this image. And the last step is showing that the image isn't even a pumpkin, even though it seems like it is. If it is not known, a pumpkin spice latte does not actually have pumpkin in it. This is why the pumpkin spice latte model is used to explain simulation theory. What is perceived as real pumpkin is not actually real pumpkin. Before ending this video animation about my paper, I had one more topic that I discussed, and that was the lack of research that is being done on ghost criminology and cultural criminology. Or the fact that we need to continue to do research. Because there is research being done, but it is very minimal. It seems like it's starting to pick up within the last so many years. When searching for sources for ghost criminology, I have many of them that are from this year, 2022. And I don't think any of the sources I have are more than 10 years old. I believe that ghost criminology and cultural criminology as a whole are very important to the field of criminology. We focus on the cause of crime and the statistics, but it's also important to understand how society views crime and how the culture within our society affects it. To understand how people view crime can help us understand more about our society and the crime in it. Overall, cultural criminology can be better understood using the terms such as hauntology and cultural haunting found in ghost criminology, but simulation theory is also useful in connecting the two. Thanks for watching my animation video. Hope you enjoyed.